Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors the other apostles, a great millstone, who are teaching this truth in sincerity. And a shout out to Yakims out there on the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash, Brakatam. So, here we are, and everything leading up to World War III and the final stages of the MOTB. Global nightmare. UN announces plan to forcibly inject the world population every 6 months forever. Yes, and you already heard what Alex Jones had to say yesterday about what happens after 3 or 4 of them booster shots, what really is going to happen to you. So, you know, just welcome to slavery. Hey, you know, pretty much what's happening here is it's coming out, you know, that you know, this is what they plan to do, you know. So pretty much though, that's what's happening. You know, we're standing on the edge of a revolution, as there will be a second revolutionary war, aka a civil war. And then you got this going on in California, you know. You hear about it every day. Dixie fire crews brace for critical fire weather. Monday, Northern California fire updates. So, got this here, so we'll wind that back. As well as a whole lot of other video here, so we'll just go ahead and wind this back here. Pull that up. The Caldor fire is now the #1 priority. It's now approaching Lake Tahoe. The blaze has already engulfed 120,000 acres. Now they're going to keep letting it going and destroyed hundreds of homes. The flames are creating hazardous air quality, you think? Northern California and Nevada. Schools north of Reno have closed. So, you know, that's what's going on there. But there's more. Lake Tahoe threatened by massive fire, more ordered to flee. Yeah, it's a good idea to leave there. I would not go on vacation there. Fire officials ordered more evacuations near Lake Tahoe and told other residents to be ready to leave as a destructive fire roared through the forest southwest of the Alpine Lake that straddles the California-Nevada state line. So, that's what's happening there. And I got more video here. See, these are the headlines everywhere, you know.
Hi, Chris. Yes, I'm standing on Highway 50. This is just around the corner from Echo Summit, which is a new staging area. They've been moving further and further east with the spread of the fire. Previously at Sierra, at Tahoe, and I'll tell you, we had every intention of coming live from that location. We felt safe there. We were in a parking lot and a number of fire crews still there to provide defense when suddenly cell service went out. CAL FIRE tells us that one of the cell towers burned down, and it's just an example of how quickly things are changing here on the ground. We saw a number of fires growing on both sides of Highway 50 on the way out of here, and we have been here following this fire as it spread along that corridor from earlier this week.
No, it's approaching, and now it's knocking on the door, so.
John Rice welcoming reinforcements at his Sierra at Tahoe resort as the winds pick up and the Caldor fire rolls east toward the Tahoe Basin.
I'm a lot more encouraged today because I can see and touch and feel these resources. Instead of knowing they might come, they're here.
But with fire becoming visible in the distance, the staging area moving further east to Echo Summit.
There was a lot of firefighters when car fire was
to provide
here too.
Defense. Closer to Strawberry,
guess what?
fighting
It got
fire
stronger.
with fire. And will this come all the way down, tie in with Highway 50?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Hand tools make quick work of the dry fuels crammed around the trunks of these dead and hazardous trees.
And then as it was coming down, we were coming up with it, snuffs it out before it hits the down.
members of the U.S. Forest Service, we can actually see live on ABC 10. We watched Saturday night as the El Carrizo Hotshots set this tactical burn to save the Strawberry General Store. And it looks like you were able to save all these structures on the north side.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, we did.
Seen gusts of up to 35 miles per hour. Wednesday, we met CAL FIRE Public Information Officer Stephen Horner. Get out of here. A sudden wind change at the top.
Almost exactly the same thing. Now that wind is picking up, and you see the smoky conditions. It's starting to get a little bit darker now.
And as the skies grow darker over Sierra and Tahoe, hope against the wind.
I hope the winds don't do what they're predicted to do, and we can try to keep this place around for winter.
And Chris, I have to tell you, having been here since Wednesday, we have seen things that we definitely hope not to see in the last few days. In particular, the last few hours, things have been changing really fast. It's hard not to feel like we are entering a new phase in the fight against the Caldor fire.
All right, thank you for that, Mark. And we have some new information that we're just getting into our newsroom. The Highway 50 closure has been extended east to Sawmill Road. Meanwhile, the hazardous air across the region is making the firefight even more difficult. KCRA3's Aaron Heff spoke with crews about how the air quality is getting in the way of containing the fire.
It feels like a new fire every single day, you know.
Growing with every passing hour, producing conditions crews have never encountered.
There's no more moisture in these fuels. Yeah, a lot of pretty erratic fire activity, stuff that you don't normally see. Every day seems like a new challenge for us.
That AQI far above the hazardous 500 mark, not allowing many water or retardant drops, impacting their headway.
And then obviously the air quality doesn't really allow for aircraft to come in.
Those massive AQIs coming from places burning just like this, where the smoke is heavy in the lungs, it's burning the eyes. Firefighters that we've talked to said they've not seen something quite like it.
Most of the fight happening now on ground. Carson Tomasic with his North Lake Tahoe team preparing for their 6th day behind the lines.
We're used to doing 14 days sleeping in the dirt.
Telling me moisture levels here are so low they're measuring ground oil instead, saying it burns purple and as quickly as gasoline.
So every time you walk, it just has this big cloud, and you suck that in.
Trudging through that silt-like ground.
When you hear the cracking, trees just buckle and they come down, and you just gotta run in a certain direction and hope that you don't get hit by them.
Conditions forcing efforts on the ground, like Eric Ornalis and his team, who were nearly crushed overnight.
Ended up with third-degree burns and stuff. And unfortunately, I've been on fires where the tree strikes somebody, and it's not something that I want to see ever again.
Now weeks of fighting tirelessly, at times painful to breathe, fire advancing thousands of acres daily, these teams work on. At the Caldor fire, Aaron Heft, KCRA 3 News.
On the fire watch, right now thousands are fleeing the Lake Tahoe Basin as the Caldor fire inches closer. Crews made good ground overnight, but are now bracing for more winds. The blaze has scorched more than 156,000 acres and stands at 19% contained. More than 650 structures have now been destroyed. Parts of Highway 88 near South Lake Tahoe are closed. A red flag warning is in place from tomorrow through Tuesday for the Sierra Nevada region.
Hundreds of firefighters are trying to prevent the Caldor fire from inching any closer to South Lake Tahoe, and the weather is not helping. KPX5 reporter Devin Feely has that story.
Weather control.
Today is going to be a critical day. Unfortunately, it's going to be the hottest and driest day since this fire started.
CAL FIRE worries that hot, dry conditions might help the Caldor fire escape their containment lines, undoing days of progress, slowing the blaze down as it pushed towards South Lake Tahoe.
Probability of ignition today is 90%. So I'm basically meaning if an Ember or Firebrand lands in some green fuel, there's a 90% chance that will start a spot fire, which is a new fire.
The Caldor fire has burned and blackened more than 156,000 acres. It's a massive blaze that's growing in several directions at once. And even if its forward progress has been slowed, it's blanketing Tahoe with smoke. And firefighters are battling the blaze and the smoke and the oppressive heat all at once.
These people are like wildland athletes. I mean, to do what they do and do what I've done for 27 years, it takes a lot of conditioning, and and drive and motivation and just utmost respect for what they're doing.
Wind and weather have helped the Caldor Fire become the beast it is today. And even though conditions aren't entirely favorable, firefighters say they're confident they're close to finally getting the upper hand.
We are reasonably confident on holding it where it's at. I mean, Mother Nature is fickle and, can throw us a curveball. But, so there's just a ton of professional people out there working hard on this thing, and they have a good plan in place.
Devin, KPIX Home.
Toxic smoke is blanketing much of the popular tourist area in South Lake Tahoe. Local businesses are suffering as tourists leave the area in droves. The Caldor Fire and before that, the Tamarack Fire affecting the region. Some shops forced to close their doors earlier, sending staff home earlier.
Everybody's getting their hours cut, unfortunately. I mean, now we have to move down to 10 to 6. We used to be from 9 to 9 or 9 to 10.
South Lake Tahoe's mayor says she believes the Tahoe Basin will probably be spared from the Caldor Fire.
The people of Louisiana always stepped up to help us in our time of need. That includes during Hurricane Harvey.
It's a two-way relationship. It's gone back many years. That's why we're always here to help out in any way we can.
Yeah,
and that
that's the other thing going on is
Kathy
Hurricane
Hernandez is on that part of the story. She's live in North Harris County. So, Kathy, what's the story? When are these crews heading out?
Good morning. They will be headed out at about 6:30 this morning. But like you said, we always step up to help our neighbors in need. And that's why 200 Centerpoint employees and contractors will be headed to Louisiana to help in the process of restoring power to everyone. We are here now with Nathan Brownell.
I'll get back to this in a minute because, of course, I haven't gotten to the news lines about that. But pretty much, though, you got the idea. All of South Lake Tahoe ordered to leave as wildfire grows. Yeah. So, people were told to flee from a long section of the Lake Tahoe shoreline Monday as a huge forest fire threatened to push into the resort region straddling California and Nevada. The new orders for people to immediately evacuate included part of the tourist city of South Lake Tahoe and about 15 miles up the western shore of the lake. It comes a day after communities several miles south of the lake had abruptly been ordered evacuated from the Caldor fire raged nearby. So, yeah. Now on to Hurricane Ida. Rescue boats fan out across Louisiana amid Ida flooding. Power could be out for 6 weeks or more. Long, dark winter. Get it? You'll be in the dark. Long, dark winter. It's starting to come out. And then you have Delta, which means literally the same thing. So you got a whole bunch of codes. Because they do speak in their own riddles. Oh, I can't blow that up. Sometimes you can blow them up, and sometimes you're not able to. And of course, Jim Crow Biden shows up at FEMA. You know, that way he'll tell you to go to FEMA because they love and care about you so much. And don't worry, you could quarantine if you got the Chinese virus too. Yep, they got people all ready to give you them shots. Hey, you might even have to have the shot in order to receive any shelter from Camp FEMA.
What does a hotter atmosphere do for a hurricane that loves some heat? More heat holds more water. Hurricanes form in a couple of different ways, but most often you're going to have
weather control.
Monsoon flow in West Africa.
All right, this is crap. New Orleans evacuees told not to return home until further notice. So, yeah, sorry, you ain't going home. Nope, we're going to put you in a camp. You know, go to FEMA. Hurricane Ida rashes Louisiana, knocks out New Orleans power. So that's really what's going on, is their power's being knocked out. Well, you got them assholes over here cutting off power for no fucking reason. Oh, well, yeah, because so-called power safety shut off, right? So anyways, back to the other news.
A little bit about what exactly is happening today.
Well, over the weekend, with Hurricane Ida coming in, Entergy reached out to us for assistance in their restoration process. So we gathered resources like we normally do in the mutual aid process to send out in the restoration process. So behind us, we have about 20 resources that'll be heading out to Baton Rouge this afternoon, where they'll be onboarded and do their safety briefing, and they'll start the restoration process to get customers there on safe and quickly as possible.
Pretty dangerous journey that they have ahead. Why is it so important to help our neighbors?
Well, as a Houstonian, we're always at risk for a hurricane, and so we help out when we can, because at some point we're going to need help, and that's part of the helping each other we try to do.
Nathan, also, how long do these crews plan on being out there?
At this point, we expect them to be gone from a week to 2 weeks, but depending on the severity of the damage, they could go longer. We could send an additional wave to keep fresh people out there, but we're always evaluating what we need.
Nathan, thank you so much for all your work. And as you heard it, guys, these crews will be leaving very shortly, always stepping up to help people in need. And as he said, they could be there for 2 weeks or even longer. Reporting live, Captain Landis, KPRC 2 News.
What a bunch of disinformation.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Chris Thomas. We have team coverage tonight on breaking news as the Caldor fire is forcing evacuations. ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Rose is tracking the winds. But first, ABC 10's Luke Clary is live at Echo Summit.
Hi, Chris. Yes, I'm standing on Highway 50. This is just around the corner from Echo Summit, which is a new staging area. They've been moving further
I think that I just,
with the start of the fire
that was here earlier.
at Sierra at Tahoe. And I'll tell you, we had every intention of coming live from that location. We felt safe there. We were in a parking lot, and a number of fire crews.
The state of Nevada. ABC 10's Van 2.
Okay, this one's
the winds don't do what they're predicted to do, and we can try to keep this place around for winter.
You're lost.
And Chris, I have to tell you, having been here since Wednesday, we have seen things that we definitely hope not to see
this
in
one's just
the
a
last
longer
few
loop.
days. In particular, the last few hours, things have been changing really fast. It's hard not to feel like we are entering a new phase in the fight against the Caldor fire.
So many firefighters doing their very best to try and save homes and property. Luke, we thank you for that live update. Mandatory evacuations have been moved closer to Lake Tahoe. The area of Myers, you see it here on your screen, now in red. Everyone in the red being told to leave now. Officials are telling people to evacuate the area using eastbound Highway 50 into the state of Nevada. ABC 10's Van 2 is tracking this developing story. She is en route to Myers as we speak.
All right, at the 5 o'clock hour, we were west of Silver Lake at that Vista Point off Highway 88, giving you that northerly view of the Caldor
if this
fire.
ain't judgment of the Most High, I don't know what else to tell y'all, you know? You can see this. Most High is pouring out his judgments on Babylon.
Northwood, which is under mandatory evacuation under the Amador County Sheriff's Office. This area, Silver Lake, again, under mandatory evacuation. You can see some folks heading out, law enforcement coming through here. Very smoky here. I also, I don't know if you can tell, but there is pretty sizable ash falling down here. Let me see if I can show you this. This is roughly how big they are. This is a piece of wood that has flown from I don't know how many miles. But again, we are going to make our way back to Myers, which is also under mandatory evacuation. And again, folks in that area are encouraged to take 50 towards Nevada, because again, this other thoroughfare, Highway 88, the Carson Path, is closed. Again, we will make our way over there and bring you the very latest.
Van, we thank you. New evacuation orders have just been issued in Amador County because of the Caldor fire. They are south of Highway 88 along the Amador-El Dorado County line.
Still a developing story.
East to the county line, and from the county line north to Highway 88. Monica, we just can't help thinking, you know, we were warning of this, but it certainly does appear that things are coming to pass.
Right, heat and wind direction didn't help at all for today. This is the perimeter of the Caldor fire, and you can see some of the hot spots here indicated in red. That's where we
we've seen over the last 6 hours, the biggest growth. So we'll first look at where Van was just near Highway 88 here, and you can see the push here from the north to the south towards Highway 88. There's Kirkwood, just kind of a landmark that many of us know. Not as many hot spots up towards the north of that, but it is growing in that direction. Now, as we take our way north of that along Highway 50, we've been following the situation at Sierra Tahoe. Luke saying it just wasn't safe anymore to be there, and you can see why. Look at the amount of hot spots growing here towards Twin Bridges. Next up the hill, we're going to have Myers in that path, and of course the South Lake Tahoe, and that's what all eyes are on right now. You can see here the Caldor Fire, again the perimeter in red. There's the wind flow pushing it along Highway 50. There's Myers, there's South Lake Tahoe. Now, why, if they're north of us, would that be a risk? It's a shift in our winds over the next 24 hours.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Under a red flag warning for tomorrow and into Tuesday as well. Temperatures warm for today.
Yeah, they're not even talking about Dixie Fire anymore.
90s for the foothills. A little cooler up top in this year, but only because there was so much smoke up there. Winds are moving out of the west right now, but here's what we're expecting. And what I want to point out here is it won't be the winds around the fire, but within the fire. And then look what happens into our Tuesday. Look at these contours and how much they pick up. The speed will be stronger, the gusts will be stronger, and humidity dropping.
So there you go.
I want to show you a look at two different locations that we've been watching in the Caldor Fire. It has grown more than 4,000 acres overnight. And keep in mind, the fire has burned more than 156,000 acres so far. It is 19% contained and more than 600 structures have been destroyed. We have time-lapse video of the Caldor Fire at Lake Springs. Now, this was taken by a U.S. Forest Service camera over a 12-hour period, and just look at all that smoke that it's putting off. We also have a look at how big the Caldor Fire has gotten over the last 2 weeks. So the map on the left shows when the fire first exploded in size on Monday, August 16th, and the map on the right shows how big the fire is now, and it continues to grow. Meanwhile, the second largest fire in California history continues to grow as well. It's burned more than 764,000 acres
there we go.
and is 48% contained. This massive fire is burning across 5 counties. But we do have a bit of good news tonight. An evacuation warning has been lifted for east of Lake Almanor from Highway 147 at Old Han Road. Of course, stay with us for updates on air and online at abc10.com.
And here's this douchebag at FEMA.
Morning, everybody.
Get your new FEMA center because Jim Crow Biden will be sure to get you home.
Center where we have 22 federal interagency partners that have been gathered here since earlier in the week.
And don't worry, we'll make sure you get your shot too.
For Louisiana and Mississippi, as well as any other states that might be impacted by Hurricane Ida. As you know, it did make landfall as a very strong Category 4 hurricane here just a few hours ago, and we are expecting catastrophic impacts from this.
I bet you are.
I have spoken to both the mayor of New Orleans as well as the governor of Louisiana just a few hours ago, and we have teams embedded with them so we can respond quickly as soon as we know what the impacts are. We should start to see some of those impacts tonight, but we won't have the real picture until tomorrow, and then we can start moving additional resources in.
FEMA cast for everyone.
Thank you. Folks,
you'll be moved to a quarantine center as well. They're going to force test you.
Jill and I are just getting back from Dover Air Force Base up on my home state, where we met with the families of 13 fallen heroes in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I bet. You're a nice piece of shit.
While we're praying for the best in Louisiana. Let's keep them in our prayers.
Yes, hail Satan. Right.
Just been briefed by
you are Satan.
And we have your leadership in the preparations for rescue and response.
Have real leadership, right.
The storm is made, as you know better than anyone, but I'm speaking to the public at large here. The storm made landfall a few hours ago, and it continues to range and ravage everything it comes in contact with.
Yeah, you look down a lot. Shit, you can't even look us in the face, can you, douchebag?
At the very end, I know you will. You've done everything you can to help prepare these folks, but I tell you what, it's I think we're going to be taking.
Okay, now let's just look at some footage here. The good stuff. Yep, both ties jacking up, Babylon. Hurricane Ida, and you got the fires of California. And you got a drought hoax. The economy's gone to shit. And, of course, mandates. So which God will you serve? Because, let's face it, most people, they've already made their allegiance to the beast. That's why they went and took you know what. Because they worship the beast and his image. They'll go to FEMA for answers instead of the Most High. So you get what you deserve.
Coming ashore the same day as Katrina hit 16 years ago. We have team coverage from New Orleans tonight. Our Brennan Walker is in New Orleans, but we begin with Robert Arnold live at the Pontchartrain Convention Center in Kidder. So, Robert, what are conditions like there now?
They haven't improved at all since the last time we spoke, and a little more than an hour ago I received a text from the New Orleans Office of Emergency Management that was warning everybody that the winds coming through this area have not yet peaked, so that does not bode well. Since about 11 o'clock this morning, the winds have been really intense, especially around Lake Pontchartrain area, and we have some video for you that we shot before because it's a little too hard for us to get on top of those levees, but let's show you what it looks like on the other top, on the other side of those levees. So that's from the Pontchartrain fishing area on the other side. That water's pushed into the parking lot, coming right up to the very bottom of the levee. Now, there is not a concern at this point from officials that water will go over the levee, but it just shows you the power of this relentless wind. That is also causing a lot of damage now. We're starting to see a lot of shingles come down off the roofs. We're starting to see a lot of tree branches down, and of course, it's very slick out there. Matter of fact, we were going through Metairie. We came across with a poor gentleman who had gotten in an accident. He slid off the road, hit a light pole, and banged his head pretty good. Fortunately, there was a gentleman who lived in the area, came by, said, I know him, I can get him home. So we got him home. I hope that he's doing all right. This has become an incredibly dangerous storm because not only are tree limbs going down, but we're also seeing utility poles now getting snapped. In fact, in that same area where we were in Metairie... And these winds can get up to 180 miles per hour. Keep that in mind. Large utility poles snapped.
We had just opened the door, and all of a sudden the transformer blew here, and the lines went, and then it blew again. It looked like a welding machine going off. You know, so.
How are you guys doing inside?
Oh, we good. We're doing fine. Yeah, we're doing fine. Okay. We're doing fine. We got a generator for after the storm.
Most I ain't fucking playing.
Tom, thank you.
And I think an interesting thing, Tom, that you pointed out was the hospitals. There was a hospital in Thibodaux that lost power, lost a generator, and literally nurses and doctors were handbagging, pumping so that they can get oxygen into their systems. Tom, we're going to learn a lot more at First Light, so we'll be talking back with you in just a bit. Let's bring in Morgan Chesky. He's in Houma, Louisiana. Houma is just about an hour's drive from New Orleans. That was right smack dab in the path of this storm. Morgan, what do you have?
Yeah, Hoda, we're actually just south of Thibodaux, where you mentioned that hospital had to save those patients' lives by hand. And I have to tell you, we know that we won't see the true extent of the damage till the sun comes up. But as we pull out, this is just one building on one block of one community that is left absolutely crippled by Ida. And what's even beyond frustrating for a lot of these first responders is that they don't know how bad it is either. And in every direction they go to, they're getting flat tires. We had a chance to check in with the police department, as we made our way through this town with power poles down and power lines blocking streets, and they had to leave many of their homes themselves that either took on water or had roofs ripped right off. And this is the extent of the damage that we're going to be seeing from these wind gusts that were recorded here, upwards of 140 miles an hour. Part of the problem here in Houma and some of the surrounding area is that this was a place that part of the eye wall essentially got stuck from Ida, which unleashed those devastating winds for hours at a time, and that is why, as bad as it is right now, there is a sickening feeling that it will only get worse. I spoke to a Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's deputy last night. I said, is this as bad as Gustav? He says, this is the worst I've ever seen. So back to you.
Yeah, and in fact, that sentiment, the worst that they've ever seen, we were talking to some different officials from New Orleans in that area who went through Katrina. They said this one feels so much worse than that did. I mean, again, this is just in the moment, the aftermath, of course, still ahead.
And this, of course, from Roughly.
It's not the same one. I don't think that's shown on that.
You can't tell me that the Most High ain't visiting this place. So, got some other things going on here. As you know, though, that these storms ain't the only thing. We got storms of these things going on as well. As now this has been FDA approved, so now you're starting to hear what's really going on after receiving it. New Zealand said on Monday it had recorded its first death linked to the shot after a woman suffered from myocarditis, which is very, very, very rare. So rare, but yet all around the world. A judge asked a mother if she got the shot. She said no, and he revoked custody of her son. So this is what happens when you refuse the dragon. Okay, I don't think I can blow that up. Let me go back. But the judge had other plans. One of the first things he asked me was whether or not I was Vanessa. Furlow told the Chicago Sun-Times she was not. She said, explained that she had adverse reactions to shots in the past and that a doctor advised her against getting inoculated. It poses a risk, she added. Cook County judge then made sure that the parents' attorneys called an unprecedented decision. He said the mother could not see her 11-year-old son until she got the shot. So the child's father is Vanessa, the Sun-Times reported. So that's what's happening. You want to talk about tyranny? Here it is. Welcome to your slavery in 1984. Greek police used tear gas, water cannon during Athens protest. Greek police used tear gas and water cannon to disperse a group of people who threw flares and other objects during a protest in central Athens on Sunday against the mandatory injections. More than 7,000 people, some holding arsenals, railed outside the Greek parliament to protest against the inoculations. Similar protests in Athens happened last week, which also saw violence. So that's all going to take place over here. And we're starting to see the beginning of that. And Dr. Fucky, the child molester, says that, You will need booster shots every 8 months, but he didn't say you needed them before, but now he's saying you need them, so, you know, you decide, you know. In a Sunday appearance on PMS NBC Meet the Press, Fucky claimed that the federal government is taking a flexible approach to when Babylonians will be urged to take the booster shot. So there we go. You know, here's what this child molester has to say. Yeah, he made sure that AIDS was a worldwide pandemic. You know, same guy. I wonder why he's heading FEMA. Monsanto's others consider closing indoor seating amid Delta in the U.S. Some U.S. fast food restaurants are closing indoor seating areas or limiting hours of operation because of the spread of Delta, according to franchises. So, you know, you want to dine in at Monsanto's, you just might be getting it to go, you know, because they're getting rid of benches outside too. They don't even like outdoor dining anymore either. You know, this is all part of a plan of the New World Order. Armed picnics and snipers at Family Dollar. Life in a town with a government-approved militia. So, you know, in Georgia, I believe that they had moved in the government, right? On a dry, bright afternoon in late June, members of Bedford militia lined up on a grassy lot on the property of Brian Buchanan Auto Auction right off the county highways in Montvale, Virginia. Oh, okay, this is in Virginia. The group of about a few dozen stood in formation, still as water, a Yankee swastika on one side and the squad's guiding bearer holding out the malicious flag on the other, the Blue Ridge Mountains in distance. So you got snipers and, you know, all kinds of militant groups. You know, the terrorists. You know, the ones that arm ISIS and train all kinds of groups, you know. Oh, wait, ISIS with a K now, yeah. Hostile squad meetings have members calling it quits. Yeah, because they're going to say that she tested positive, right? So, you know, she's supposed to be dead now. Nevada school board member said he had thoughts of suicide before stepping down amid threats and harassment. Yeah, see, a lot of people can't take it, you know, so they'll retire. School board members are largely unpaid volunteers, traditionally former educators and parents who step forward to shape school policy, choose the superintendent, review the budget, but a growing number are resigning or question their willingness to serve as members have devolved into shouting contests between deeply political yeah, because again, you know, this is nothing more than tyranny. It has nothing to do with the virus. It has everything to do with submittance. Will you submit to the New World Order? You know? And that's just it, though, you see. Many will. U.S. visitors to EU likely to face new quarantine rules. So there you go, man. Go to a quarantine camp if you're, you know, planning to travel. So why would you want to travel anyways? You know, this ain't the time. U.S. travelers coming to the EU face higher chances of being asked to quarantine upon arrival to an increase in Chinese virus infections in America. So there you go, man. You know, again, this ain't the time. And while we're on it, the Valley of Yehoshaphat, you know, because, again, all these things are happening, so we see World War III getting closer. Afghan militants fire rockets at Kabul airport as U.S. withdrawal nears end. So, again, you know, they said expect more false flags. Afghan militants fired rockets at Kabul's airport as the U.S. rushed to complete its evacuation mission in Afghanistan before Tuesday's deadline to leave the country, with U.S. counter-rocket defenses deployed to intercept them. So, there you have it. More false flags. Just like they said there would be, right? And hey, Pentagon acknowledges reports of civilian casualties in U.S. airstrike in Kabul. So who is the terrorist here? Who's the real terrorist? The United States, right? In guise of going after terror groups. U.S. military officials are acknowledging reports of civilian casualties as the result of a drone strike on explosive laden vehicle carrying would-be suicide bombers in Kabul over the weekend, which we know this is all a proxy, all set up. Yeah, Of course, America loves to bomb everything before they leave. Fuck them all and leave. Russia wraps West's actions in Syria, says it openly used terrorists to overthrow Assad. Exactly. You know? So who are the real terrorists? The West had openly used terrorists to overthrow Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, while Russia helped the war-torn country preserve its statehood, said Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. When real terrorists from Daesh terrorist group and its affiliates were on the threshold of the Syrian capital city when terrorists were about to seize power in Syria, the West was watching it quite calmly, Lavrov said on Monday. So, there you have it. You know, we know who the terrorists really are. And there's even more. U.S. military forces have no legal mandate to operate in Syria. You know, this was on August 10th. So these other nations, they're angry because they're tired of the terrorism in the Middle East. The Russian embassy in Washington says U.S. military forces deployed to the oil-rich northeastern part of Syria have no legal mandate to stay in the Arab country under the allegations of fighting the Takfir Daesh terrorist group. And especially with all these other false flag events happening in Afghanistan, you know that they're going to seize even more from Syria. It's a matter of fact that U.S. armed groups have no legal mandate to stay in Syria. Your interpretation of United Nations Security Council Resolution 2254 is just ridiculous. Please read the document thoroughly, the diplomatic mission said in a post published on its Twitter page. So, yeah. Again, U.S. tanker trucks transport stolen Syrian oil to Iraq. And it just continues to go on and on and on.